All right, in this lesson, let's take a step back and look at the picture in its entirety. So what you're seeing in front of you is the entire end-to-end process for creating a random forest classifier and the results. You can see at the results at the very bottom there, right? For this data set up here, the BBC data set, we have a 78.146% accuracy. So 78% is not bad. All right, so let's step back and look at the items involved in the process. So what's the first part? The first part is up here. And what is this part? It's the importation of the various functions we need for our model. So if you look over on the far left-hand side, we have this from, right? All these start with from, every one of them. From what? From a library. In this library, from pandas, we're going to import, means to bring in, this read CSV function. And actually, we're going to use that read CSV function, CSV, this file name. And this is the file we've read into that variable. And that variable is just a container. Right now, that file name container is just holding the contents of this BBC CSV. CSV is a comma separated values file. We're going to see that a lot in machine learning. So up here we have the very top, NumPy. NumPy is another library we're importing. And then finally, we have SciKit-Learn, right? So we're using three different libraries here, right? We're using pandas, NumPy. NumPy is numerical Python, and SciKit-Learn. All right, so we'll talk about what the libraries are for later, but we start at the top by bringing in or importing either the entire library or we're importing a function or other objects that we need for our model. As we move down, we're going to need a file, right? So up here, these are our libraries. And remember what a library is. So here we have the language, right? That's Python. And here we have all these things on the outside that we can import in to our language to use, all right? So we're importing three things. Well, we're actually importing items from three things, aren't we? Or objects from three things. Pandas, NumPy, and SciKit-Learn, right? Remember, all these do is help extend the functionality of our core language. That's all they do. All right, so we're importing the things we need for our model. Next, we come down and we need some data. Remember that most machine learning problems in the real world are supervised learning, right? Supervised learning means we have a data set. So this is our data set, all right? That bbc.csv. Now you're thinking, well, wait a minute, it's reading this CSV, this file name. How does it know you don't have a path? Well, because we put this file name here in our default directory, it knows to look in the default directory for that CSV, right? So we've got the two parts of the process. We're bringing in our libraries, number one. Number two, we need some data. And number three down here, we need an array. An array, for this example, is going to hold our data, our X and Y. Here, it's going to hold 0 is the first value and the 11th value of our data set. Here, the Y value, this is our target variable. All right, let's go down and show you. Let's move down to the next slide. Now we can see that this is our data, right? This is our data set. Keep in mind that earlier in the course, we said these are not columns. These are attributes. So what we're going to do with all of our machine learning is try to predict this thing at the end. That's our bike buyer. That's our target variable. That's what we're going to try to predict. That's our target variable. All right. We're going to do that with all these other columns. Now, something that threw me when I looked at this, and if you start counting from one side to the other, you'll see that uh, this is column 1, and then this is column 12. Well, in NumPy, which we're using, we've imported up there and we're using NumPy, 0 counts. So over here, right, let's come over here. You can see there's a 0, right? All right. 0 is right here, right? That's 0. Now this is 1. And if we do it that way and we come over here, that column on the far side, he is 11. He's our target variable, right? Come over here. Where's our target variable? Where's my little pen thing? He's our target variable, and he's the last column in our array, right? 0 being the first. So that threw me a little bit. I hope that helps. All right, so let's move on to the next slide.